Hello, and welcome to Microsoft Ignite. I am Shilpa Bothra, Product Marketing Manager for Microsoft Purview Data Loss Prevention. Joining me today is Shekhar Palta, Principal Product Manager, and he leads the team responsible for building Microsoft Purview DLP. We have a lot of exciting news to share with you, so let's get to it. The need to effectively protect our data has never been greater. Data is everywhere. With hybrid work being the new normal, we are witnessing proliferation of different types of data and access points, coupled with an ever-evolving regulatory landscape. Additionally, the solution landscape is fragmented, with most organizations using several different solutions and custom integrations to meet their data protection needs. Organizations are having to adapt their data protection strategy to cover a heterogeneous device landscape, as employees are using a wider range of devices, including devices that may be provisioned and managed, or mobile or personal devices. Lastly, working together is now digital. We are seeing more messaging, file sharing, uploading and downloading of documents. Though this empowers teams to better collaborate across a digital estate, it also makes it imperative that the data is protected throughout its lifecycle. A comprehensive data protection strategy is critical to meet these challenges, and it should help employee productivity and not get in the way of it. We at Microsoft believe that data protection should be a defense and depth strategy, the first step of which is knowing and protecting your data. To effectively protect your data, you need to know what data you have, where it lives, and who has access to it. This is where Microsoft Purview Information Protection helps you classify and label your data. The next step is to configure policies such that your employees are able to access and use the data to collaborate and be productive to drive business continuity. This is where Microsoft Purview Data Loss Prevention, or DLP, helps you by maintaining balance between security and productivity and ensuring you have the proper access control in place to prevent unauthorized sharing, use, or transfer of sensitive data. Finally, it is important to identify and manage potential insider data security risks, such as confidential data leakage or data theft. This is where Microsoft Purview Insider Risk Management can help as the next layer of defense, empowering your security teams to address risks as part of a comprehensive data protection strategy. These three components, information protection, DLP, and insider risk management, are built on an intelligent platform and help create a comprehensive data protection strategy so that you can keep your organization's data safe wherever it lives. In this session, we will focus on DLP. We encourage you to check out the information protection and insider risk management sessions to learn more. Microsoft's DLP solution provides a broad range of capabilities to address the modern workplace and its unique challenges. We are committed to providing a unified and comprehensive solution across different environments and services where sensitive data is stored, used, or shared, including platforms native to Microsoft as well as non-Microsoft services and applications. Microsoft's DLP solution helps organizations consolidate the several individual solutions and save costs. Microsoft Purview DLP is cloud native, which means there is no need to deploy and maintain any on-premise infrastructure. DLP has protection built into Microsoft 365 cloud services, such as Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, and Microsoft Teams, Office apps, and on endpoint devices with Windows and Microsoft Edge. DLP controls can also be extended to macOS endpoints and Chrome browser, and various cloud apps such as Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, and others through the integration with Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. Microsoft DLP provides unified policy management. Because the solution is built from a common framework, DLP policies are consistently applied to all environments. We have out-of-the-box analytics, which help you discover sensitive data on devices on day one. And we provide a tailored experience for policy creation, driven by insights from analytics. Because DLP leverages Microsoft Purview information protection, you can use the built-in policy templates and classifiers to create and define DLP policies quickly. When an admin uses data classification and applies labels to the data, the DLP solution can automatically use these without any customization. Third, Microsoft Purview DLP also provides consistent user experiences. We are focused on ensuring that the solution remains consistently easy to deploy and manage across different workloads. We've built a streamlined experience for administrators from the time they identify sensitive data and apply sensitivity labels to configuring policies that govern the use of sensitive data. Additionally, information workers have an integrated experience that is intuitive, guided, and not disruptive in their day-to-day tasks. Now that we understand the benefits of Microsoft Purview DLP, I want to invite Shekhar to show us how it all works.
Thanks, Shilpa. My name is Shekhar Palta, and I'm excited to be here to talk about some of the key capabilities coming from the Microsoft Purview information protection team. I want to spend most of our time today on the new capabilities we are announcing, so I'll keep this section short as I take you through the current data loss prevention capabilities. You can use the Microsoft Data Loss Prevention to create policies and enforcement controls to protect data across your entire digital estate. You can detect and prevent sharing of emails containing sensitive content. For files in SharePoint and OneDrive, you can put in place policies to prevent actions like external sharing or sharing via anonymous link. In this particular example, you can see that a policy tip appears for the end user, which shows that this file cannot be shared via anonymous link sharing. Protection can also be extended to sensitive files on endpoint devices. Here, we see a user trying to print a classified document containing sensitive information about Project Obsidian. As the user tries to print the document, the endpoint DLP policies detect the action and prompt the user with a notification. Note that the user can override the action and still print the file with an appropriate business justification. You can configure DLP policies in 3 modes: audit, block mode, or block with option for users to override. Here, we see a user trying to copy the same sensitive document to a USB drive, and the operation is blocked. Here you can see another example of how we extend our protection capabilities with native integration with Microsoft Edge browser. When a user opens a sensitive document in Microsoft Edge and tries to copy content, the DLP engine detects the action as an unallowed one and provides the user with an option to override. You can see that this protection is built in and does not require any extensions or plugins. DLP controls can also be extended to Microsoft Teams. Here you can see that a user is trying to share sensitive information over Teams chat and receives a pop-up mentioning that this action is blocked due to organizational policies. If needed, the user can override the notification and continue to share with proper business justification. Earlier this year, we announced extension of DLP controls to Mac OS endpoints. You can configure DLP policy to prevent copy to USB, copy to clipboard, print, upload to cloud, and more on your Mac devices, just as you would on your Windows devices. And last but not least, DLP controls can be extended to non-Microsoft apps through our native integration with Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. Here, you see that Slack is configured as a restricted app in Defender for Cloud Apps, and when the user tries to upload the sensitive document, a user notification shows up which the end user can use to override by providing a business justification if they want to continue with the upload action.
Thank you, Shekhar. We've come a long way on our DLP journey, and I'm really excited to share our new announcements. Could you please walk our audience through them?
A key part of data protection strategy for any organization is to balance protection with employee productivity. This has made granular policy controls a key requirement for every organization. Additionally, as part of the post-detection investigation workflows, it is important that the DLP admins or analysts have access to metadata and evidence associated with a policy match. This level of visibility helps them effectively triage and remediate issues. Today, we are announcing several capabilities which are going to be available to you in the next few weeks that can help your organizations with granular policy management as well as richer investigations of DLP incidents. Currently, as part of data loss prevention investigation experience for emails, messages on Teams, or for files in SharePoint or OneDrive for Business, DLP admins can view the contextual evidence, including the match-sensitive content and the surrounding characters, in addition to the other metadata. We are excited to share that this capability will now be available for DLP incidents and alerts for sensitive files on endpoint devices as well. On the policy management front, today we offer customers the ability to enforce restrictions like block with user override, or simply audit potential egress activities like print, copy to removable storage, copy to network shares, and upload to cloud sites on endpoint devices. We are announcing several capabilities to provide granular controls to prevent exfiltration through common egress channels. Lastly, we are also introducing support for creating complex policy conditions using and or associations with ability to create nested groups. Let's dive into a demo for each of these features. I'll start with the contextual evidence capability for endpoint DLP. You can see the contextual evidence in Activity Explorer when you view the DLP rule-matched audit records for sensitive files on endpoint devices. Here, you see details for a DLP rule-matched audit record, and when you click on the sensitive information type, you'll see the matched sensitive content and the surrounding context. You can also see the contextual evidence as you investigate DLP alerts in the Alerts tab within the DLP solution in Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal. Once you click on the event, you'll be able to view the contextual evidence in the Event Details page. A third place to view the contextual evidence is from the DLP Incident Investigation experience in Microsoft 365 Defender. You can click on a DLP alert to open the DLP alert page, and when you click on the user event, you will be able to view the contextual evidence. You'll need to associate the role Data Classification Content Viewer with any analyst who you want to be allowed to view the contextual evidence. This contextual evidence will also be available through the Office 365 Management Activity API. The next feature I'd like to talk about is policy management with printer groups. With this capability, you can define groups of printer devices and associate different restriction levels like block with user override, audit, or allow with each printer group as you define your DLP policies. Let's see this in action. When you go into printer group setting in the endpoint DLP settings page, you can click on create new printer group. You can then associate a name for your printer group followed by adding devices for that printer group. To add a device, you can use device name, printer PID or VID, IP range, or options like file printer, universal printer, or corporate printer to choose the appropriate device to be added to the group. Once you set up your groups, you are now ready to start configuring restrictions for your printer devices in your endpoint DLP policies. To do that, you can click on Audit or Restrict Activities on Devices in your DLP policy. You can choose to apply a blanket restriction level for all printers, which is block in this case, and then click on Choose different print restrictions to configure different restrictions as exceptions for any of the printer groups you have configured. In the panel that opens up, you will be able to click on Add Group to choose from the printer groups that you had configured in your endpoint DLP settings, and then choose different restriction levels for any of the printer groups for that DLP policy. In this example, you can see that we have configured a restriction level of block for all printers while configuring a restriction level of audit as an exception if printing happens through any of the printers in the corporate office printers group. A similar capability we are announcing today is policy management with removable storage groups. Similar to the previous feature, with this capability, you can create different groups of removable storage devices and associate different restriction levels for each storage devices group during the time of DLP policy configuration. To define your removable storage device groups, go to Endpoint DLP Settings and then click on Create Groups under Removable Storage Device Groups. You can assign a name to your group and then click on Add Removable Storage Device. You can choose from options like name, PID, VID, serial number, device ID, etc. to add your device. You can create as many groups of devices as required, and once you're done, you can then start adding granular restriction levels for your storage device groups in your endpoint DLP policies. To do that, you can click on Audit or Restrict Activities on Devices in your DLP policy. You can choose to apply a default restriction level for all removable storage devices, which is block in this case, and then click on Choose different USB removable media restrictions to configure different restriction levels as exceptions for any of the removable storage device groups you've created. You can see that a restriction level of audit is configured for the corporate USB devices, and block as the default restriction level will apply for all other devices. Another similar feature we are announcing today for granular policy management is for network share groups. Similar to printer and removable storage device groups, you can also create groups of network shares and configure different restriction levels for each group as you define your endpoint DLP policies. To create your network share groups, you can assign a name to the group and start associating network share URLs to the group. Once you're done with creation of your groups, you can start configuring different restriction levels for each group in your DLP policies. After choosing a default restriction level for all network shares, you can start configuring exceptions for your network share groups. As you can see, a restriction level of audit only is configured for the group sanctioned network shares. Let's move to the next feature, which is policy management with cloud-side groups. As a part of the protection controls for preventing upload of sensitive data to cloud domains, we offer the ability to create a global list of service domains and designate them as either allowed or blocked. We are enhancing protection capabilities for sensitive data leakage through cloud domains by announcing support for creation of cloud-side groups with the ability to configure different restrictions for different groups at the time of DLP policy configuration. To do this, click on Add a new group in sensitive service domains. Name your group and associate the service domains that you would like to add in the group. You can create as many groups and associate any number of service domains in each group as required. You're now ready to configure restrictions for these groups in your DLP policy. When you configure your DLP policy, you can choose to apply a default restriction level and apply different restrictions for any service domain groups. To do that, click on Configure Sensitive Service Domain Exceptions and start adding groups for which different restrictions need to be configured. Here we can see that audit is set as restriction level for the internal SharePoint sites group. Let's now talk about another very useful feature we are announcing, which brings a lot of flexibility and granularity in policy authoring, which is support for complex conditions in policy authoring. With this capability, you will have the ability to create nested groups with and or associations between conditions. Let's see this in action. As you create your DLP policy, you can click on Add Group to start creating more granular condition associations and choose between and or combination of conditions. For each condition, you can also choose to add it as an exception by using the not option. Within the group, you can continue to add more conditions or add another group to create further combinations of conditions within the rule. You can then review the rule logic. In this example, we've created a detection logic to detect the presence of credit card numbers in an email unless the email is either sent from the finance team or is sent to a whitelisted recipient domain, fabricam.com. Let's dive into another very important announcement related to policy authoring improvements, which is configuring network location exceptions. This feature gives you the ability to configure different enforcement restrictions based on the network you're logged into. Example, a corporate network or VPN. For VPN settings, you will need to click on Add or Edit VPN addresses in Endpoint DLP settings. You can then add one or more VPN addresses as required. To configure different enforcement restrictions based on the network type at the time of DLP policy authoring, you can click on Configuration Options for any egress activity and choose to apply a specific enforcement restriction for any network type. In this case, enforcement restriction of audit only is chosen for VPN, which will apply to all VPN addresses configured in your endpoint DLP settings earlier.
I'm looking forward to hearing from our customers as they try out these new capabilities. Please share your feedback and help us improve our solution. Shekhar, I'm sure there are other capabilities that we want to share with our audience today.
Certainly, Shilpa. There is a long list, but I want to call out a few here. For the complete list, I recommend everyone to check out our blog at aka.ms/DLP Ignite 2022. We are excited to announce general availability of the following capabilities. Number 1, support for trainable classifiers as condition in DLP policies. With this capability, you can detect and prevent sensitive content with specific business context like financial statements, contracts, legal and HR documents, etc., as well as behavioral context like discrimination, profanity, and more from unauthorized use, sharing, or transfer. You can use out-of-the-box or custom-built trainable classifiers and add them as conditions to your DLP policies. The next feature is sensitive service domains. With enterprises moving more workloads to the cloud, the volume of sensitive data being accessed through the browser is rising, which increases the risk of sensitive data leaks. This capability allows you to configure controls on websites containing sensitive corporate information. You can choose to restrict risky activities like save as or add to collection for certain groups of sensitive websites when these websites are accessed through the Microsoft Edge browser. This feature is natively supported in Microsoft Edge. No extension or plugins are needed. DLP incident management in Microsoft 365 Defender portal enables a unified approach to incident management with all of your security and DLP incidents in a single unified queue. It also offers out-of-the-box intelligence to bring correlated alerts under a single incident as an investigation unit. Advanced investigative tools like advanced hunting, and a number of remediation actions as a part of your investigation experience. Additionally, you can import all your DLP incidents into Microsoft Sentinel to extend correlation, detection, and investigation across additional Microsoft and non-Microsoft data sources and extend automated orchestration flows using Sentinel's native SOAR capabilities. Support for password-protected files is another important announcement that allows you to detect the presence of password-protected files on the endpoint devices and configure specific restrictions for these files. This can be done by leveraging the condition document or attachment is password protected, which detects the presence of password protected Office, PDF, or zip files.
Thank you, Shekhar. That is all the time we have today. Before we sign off, please be sure to attend our on-demand sessions on information protection and insider risk management. And get started on your data protection journey right away by starting the free trial of Microsoft Purview at aka.ms/Purview trial and turn on your default DLP policies. Additionally, here are a few more resources on DLP. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to hearing from you.